I used to run Tiriac Holdings, which is one of the larger corporations in Romania. And as of 2 months ago, I remained an advisor to the shareholders, and I started with them an asset management business. We just started 2.5 months ago hedge fund that invests in emerging markets. So this is where my experience is coming from. I used to be in investment banking. As an analyst, head of research, head of brokers, and so that's a summary. So I have quite a diversified experience. And Florin asked me to give you a speech, and I guess what I want to do today is kind of talk a little bit about potential career path. I remember even when I finished my MBA, I was slightly confused about what I would be doing. I mean, and looking back, I remember that in fact it was all dependent on fashion. You know, when I finished my MBA, corporate finance was the place to be. So we were all concentrating on corporate finance. Nobody thought. I remember, I mean, there was not even recruiting available. So
what age were you when you finished your MBA? What age were you?
I was 32. I was slightly older because, in fact, I used to be a biochemist. And for 14 years of my life, I studied biochemistry. I almost have a PhD in biochemistry at Columbia University. And one day, I realized that this is going to be tough going financial-wise, and I thought that I should do something to make some money. It all depends on each person's financial situation, and I quit my doctorate program at Columbia and went and worked for a year and applied to business school, and at 30 I started my MBA at Yale. I was one of the older students at that time in my class, and then I finished at 32. I was lucky enough in the middle of the steep recession to be able to get a job at JP Morgan, and then after that I started my career in investment banking, and which spans kind of the globe. I was a head of financial institution. I was an analyst and head of research for Latin America for a few years, and then I spent almost 9 years in Russia, in Moscow, and being head of research and head of international broking for Uralseed, which is one of the larger banks, or used to be one of the larger banks in Russia. And for 4 years I managed a global equity emerging market fund for Skandinavska Enskilda, which is a large Swedish bank in London. So I was kind of all over the place doing all. And in 2006 I came back to Romania, being fearful of the crisis, of the incoming crisis. I had this cataclysmic perception about life, and I thought I should bring my family to Romania. Spent some time with my parents after 24 years being away, and start the fund. But 2008 was even a worse year than I thought. And then I was lucky enough to find this job with Mr. Tiriac and run his company, which was absolutely an amazing experience. I mean, we're talking 11 different companies, about a company worth around 2 billion euros and 5,000 people. So quite an experience in the middle of the worst crisis since the Big Depression. Restructuring the company, bringing it on its feet, and I can say proudly that I left behind a functional company that is doing relatively well considering the time. So now I'm here. And I think going through all this, I remember in the classes that I took, I think everyone, you guys can get a corporate finance book and read it, and you'll learn about corporate finance. I guess nobody puts it together. So, and I think when you finish, one has to, it's a very delicate understanding or where you fit in this big picture. I mean, you go all these years to school and to do what? You know. So there are some jobs available. You need to know your strength and you need to know where you fit. You know, and especially once you get the job, how do you start from there to be successful? And what makes you successful in a job as a junior employee, just hired from school?